Hello Internet, we're back and we're going to have a look at Cresselia in this video. So Cresselia is again another interesting Pokemon because it's another Pokemon that really smells of 2012 and 2013, and it's not, well, it's nowhere near as dominating Cresselia as it was in those last two formats. Now let's just have a little look at my 2013 Worlds Cresselia. The spread on this is fairly offensive. I've got a lot of special attacks, maximum special attack there with the hidden power. Fairly fast, and the rest in bulk. Expert belt with helping hand. Now, I did like the helping hand, but, you know, and this is the text that I put with it, probably explaining why I didn't really like Calm Mind too much. But I did use Calm Mind, here we go, in the Nationals in 2013, and I went back to something a bit more similar to this year. So these, I've not actually properly looked at these spreads in ages. That's quite interesting. I used Calm, still with Hidden Power Fire though, and the rest is still the same. But let's have a look at this one, because this is my 2015 Cresselia. I've got Psychic, I've got Icy Wind, and I've got Calm Mind still, and I have got leftovers like I used in the Nationals 2 years ago. But I've got Hidden Power Ground on this Cresselia. Now, honestly, Hidden Power Ground first was put on this Cresselia because, just by chance, because it had Hidden Power Ground. Level 51, who I'm sure you've seen on Pokemon Showdown, he actually messaged me on, on Showdown as soon as he caught it, and was like, oh, shall I keep it? It's got Hidden Power Ground, it's got these IVs. I was like, yes, you probably should keep it. And so as soon as he got it, he you know, traded one over to me. So here it is. Here's Cresselia with Hidden Power Ground. But the Hidden Power Ground was used because Heatran is so popular now, and Breloom isn't the best Pokemon to play Heatran. If Heatran is timid, then Breloom is slower and it'll just get hit first. If it's got the safety goggles, then I can't put it to sleep. And Terrakion is only one Pokemon. If they've got something to check my Terrakion, then I'm a little bit stuffed, really, if they've got a Heatran out. So, having an extra option for Heatran, and being quite a surprise option with Hidden Power Ground. Obviously not a surprise anymore, because everyone knows it's got it, but you know, it was good. Now, the Calm Mind. Why did I use Calm Mind? I don't even know. I like setting up. If you get a Calm Mind with Cresselia, then it can usually, like, if you can sort of take care of the Bisharps, which obviously the Breloom does, and you know, the Aegislashes, which you know, Lipid and Scizor can, then Cresselia is just gonna laugh its way to victory, basically. Or is it? Because of the timer. Now, this is one of the one of the issues that I came across in the German National. I did lose. Well, I lost 2 games to timer, but I lost 1 game to timer. You know, blatantly being time stalled out, which was the right thing for my opponent to do. But nonetheless, it was quite annoying, because if that game was on Showdown or I had a longer timer, then Cresselia would have just ran through the team. Now, that does maybe offer some kind of, you know, weight for the helping hand argument again, but I do still like Calm Mind. If I do use Calm Mind, then I usually only just do one. One is enough. If I go for a second Calm Mind, it will usually only be, well, either because you know, there's a Calm Mind stall war or something, or if I want a guaranteed one-shot. Actually, I'm not even sure if it is guaranteed. If I want a one-shot onto Heatran with Hidden Power Ground, or a guaranteed one-shot on Amoonguss with Psychic. So, normally, just one Calm Mind is enough, and then it can do a lot of work from then. So, I don't think the timer is so much of an issue as I thought it was in the German National, but, I don't know, maybe, I don't even think I used Cresselia that much in the UK National, thinking about it, but whatever, here's the EV spread. We've got 100 in the HP, which puts it at 208, which is a really nice leftovers number. I have got 200 into special attack, which is just over the bump, so I've got you know, an extra stat point in there basically, and making sure that it is an even number as well, because with Calm Mind I will get an extra stat from if it was an odd number, for example. That's why I've got 8 in special defense there. 8 because this is the exact Cresselia I've got in game with the same IVs as well. The IV in special defense is 28, so 4 EVs are not going to do anything. I put 8 there just to bring it up to 150, just so that I could get 75 stats from 1 Calm Mind as opposed to 1 less if I was at 149. So the speed is probably the most interesting thing on here. It is a very fast Cresselia, as you can see. It's not faster than Brillium though, so Brillium is still faster than Cresselia. But this Cresselia with 130 speed basically allows me to see if a Heatran is modest or timid. Modest Heatran with max speed will hit 129, I'm pretty sure, speed. So Cresselia with 130 will outspeed it and potentially be able to get Hidden Power ground off, maybe put it out of substitute range, or even knock it out if it's low enough to start off with. So there's that. But just the knowledge of if a Heatran is timid or modest is fantastic, especially for best of 3s as well. But also, being this speed stat makes Cresselia outspeed quite a lot of things if they're at -1 from an Icy Wind drop. Now, back in 13, I had 144 speed on this Cresselia. Now, I'm pretty sure that allowed that Cresselia to outspeed base 111s, so it could outspeed Thundurus and Tornadus, which you don't see anymore because he hasn't got Defiant anymore, unfortunately. Probably will next year, but not anymore. I'm not sure if it did anything more than that, but it definitely did, Latios and the Genies, and they were the important things that I needed to hit that year. But it's a bit faster this year. First, I didn't have quite so much speed because I just went for Mega Salamence, which it's not too far off this, but basically Mega Salamence at base speed of 120, at -1 the Cresselia would outspeed it, but then I thought I would go for the extra speed there just so that I could have the jump on Modest Heatran, and this does allow Cresselia to outspeed base 125s at -1 now as well. So Weavile could potentially be a little bit of a problem for this team because it has got a faster fake out. It can one-shot Thundurus, it can do a lot of damage to Cresselia, it can low-kick and one-shot Terrakion. If it's got Ice Shard, then it's a big problem for Brillium as well. Scizor really is the only solid thing I've got against Weavile. So if they have got a Weavile at -1, then I can at least, maybe hit something before Cresselia gets knocked out. There was a little bit of desperation in there. It does allow Cresselia to outspeed Greninja as well at -1, which again, looking at this team, Greninja can actually be a little bit of a problem. Outspeeds and one-shots Thundurus and Terrakion, and again does a lot of damage to Cresselia, can bring Brillium down to its sash. So again, Greninja, strangely, is another one of those Pokemon that I was a little bit worried about, and so at -1, Cresselia being able to hit it, especially if it's got like Protein and went for a low kick or something, at -1 Cresselia would just be able to knock it out. So there was that basically, but it is again quite an offensive Cresselia. There are 112 EVs there into defenses, but most of it is in special attack, most of it is into speed. I do like leftovers. I did try Helping Hand Cresselia again this year, but I didn't really like it as much as Calm Mind, and I did try Safety Goggles on my Cresselia a little bit as well, just because Brillium maybe can be a little bit of an issue for this team, but Amoonguss can definitely be an issue for this team as well. So if I do have Goggles on Cresselia, I can basically safely bring it in, take the Spore, and then threaten it with a 2-hit KO with Psychic. That isn't really good enough though, and especially with Calm Mind, the leftovers, it really, really helps. It can sit there and just recover up turn after turn. So, I don't know, Cresselia, it is one of my main things that I do have against Amoonguss. A +1 Calm Mind won't always one-shot an Amoonguss though. I would never bank on a +1 Psychic knocking out Amoonguss. And, most of them, well, at least last year anyway, they tended to be more physically bulky as well. So even if I changed Psychic to Psyshock, then, it wouldn't really make too much of a difference. But yeah, thinking about it, actually, I don't think I use Cresselia too much in the UK National. This Cresselia slot is the slot that I have maybe had quite a bit of a dilemma with. The other one is a Thunderous slot. I don't think Thunderous is as good this year, but we'll talk about Thunderous in a little bit. But this Cresselia slot, I need this slot to take care of fighting types and things like Amoonguss and Mega Venusaur. If I saw a Mega Venusaur, I have to take Cresselia. So Cresselia is very important for the team in certain matchups, but thinking about that, flying does exactly the same thing. Flying coverage might even be a little bit better because of things like Scrafty, things that can, and even knockoff Conkeldurr can normally survive a Psychic, get a knockoff onto Cresselia, do a lot of damage to it, and that's potentially putting me in a bad position. But something like a Togekiss in this slot, which I have thought about, would allow me to still cover Amoonguss and cover Scrafty, even cover fighting types. The problem, or one of the problems, would be Sludge Bomb from Amoonguss or Venusaur would be super effective on it, so that's not very good. But also, it would introduce a third Ice weakness into this team and a second Rock weakness into this team, and I didn't really want to do that, especially because Landorus is so common. I don't want to just get flinched to death with, ironic if it's a Togekiss, getting flinched to death with a Rock Slide. So I think Cresselia is the best slot here, but I do like Calm Mind. I did really toy about with the idea of using Moonblast on this Cresselia as well. Maybe an Expert Belt with Moonblast on here as well. It would allow me to, I did do the calculation, I think, a max special attack Expert Belt Moonblast, I think, does one-shot. That was my phone, by the way. That was a Mewtwo, if you heard that. It does one-shot a Scrafty with max HP and 4 special defense, I think, but it doesn't one-shot Assault Vest Scrafty. So I did think about Moonblast on here as well, especially because Fairy coverage would actually be quite nice, on this team, but just didn't really have room for it. Yeah, I mean, I can't swap Psychic for Moonblast because then I can't hit Venusaur. The Hidden Power Ground is so important for things like Heatran, and maybe a last-ditch move for things like Bisharp and Aegislash and Metagross maybe. The Icy Wind is so important as well because Icy Wind basically allows Brillium to outspeed anything with a base speed of 130 or under. It doesn't do things like Mega Manectric or Mega Lopunny, but anything like Mega Gengar, anything 130 or lower, Aerodactyl, Brilliant will be able to outspeed at -1. So Icy Wind is really important, and I like the Calm Mind as well. But I think I've waffled on about Cresselia long enough. It's an interesting Pokemon, isn't it? Because you have to wonder to themselves when they were making the Pokemon for this 6th generation, if they had Cresselia in mind when they introduced Aegislash. Cresselia was so dominant in 2012 and 13. Aegislash introduced into this game means Cresselia is nowhere near as good as it used to be. But there's always got to be something that checks something, hasn't there? But whatever. That's Cresselia. There's my spread. Complete with the imperfect IVs. But cheers for watching. Let's go on to Terrakion. Now, Terrakion, an interesting one. So we'll see you in the next video. Cheers for watching. Bye for now.